Hi, this is Right Time Advantage, and I'm looking at Tiny Buddha Official. I am your host, Ms. Right Time. So I'm reading this, and I'm just going to give my impressions and my heart's thoughts of this. I'm going to read it out loud. Um, I'm slowly learning that even if I react, it won't change anything. It won't make people suddenly love and respect me. It won't magically change their minds. Sometimes it's better to just let things be. Let people go. Don't fight for closure. Don't ask for explanations. Don't chase answers. Don't expect people to understand where you're coming from. I'm slowly learning that life is better lived when you don't center it on what's happening around you and center it on what's happening inside you instead. Work on yourself and your inner peace, and you'll come to realize that reacting to every little thing that bothers you is the first ingredient to living a happy and healthy life. And it's got over 8,000 likes, and that's awesome. Um, so this is a repeat, and it's got hashtags. There are some that have their concerns about it, and I really love it. I love Tiny, let me come back to that, Tiny Buddha Official. It just seems to I receive from them. But if I were to give commentary, as I'm going to do now, I mean, not if, is that I go to the part here is don't fight for closure. I think that just kind of stood out with a little bit of highlighter for me because I read that somewhere else and I forgot how it was said, but it was said in a way like, I'm going to find closure with me. Closure doesn't happen with someone else. I'm going to go to my messages. No, never mind. Anyway, here at Right Time, Ms. Right Time, I like to do things more spontaneous, and this is me not having planned. But anyway, so when I think of closure, I think I need someone else to hear me out, okay? So that's what closure means to me, is I need someone to hear my piece. I need someone to see my pain. I need someone to validate that they did that to me, or that they took that from me, or they stole that from me. And somehow if I get the closure with that other person, then that means that I can move on. But if you were to start living life in a way that says, I'm not going to go looking for closure with them or him or her or that group, um, because if they damaged you in the first place, if they gave you a wounding, let's say it's a father wounding, parent, mother wounding, or a grandparent wounding to you, that means that they don't have. I'm watching my cats fight, but they're like playing. Is that they're not going to have your sensibilities in your heart. So maybe the way you're focusing and having a perspective is from an open heart, caring heart. But someone who damages and has no thought or no concern for hurting another isn't going to have an open heart. They're going to have a closed heart, and it's going to be their emotion range and their emotion set is going to be so much more limited, and it's going to be to the negative feelings or emotions, but based on the way they view things in life, and if they live in a victimhood kind of stance. Um, I'm not a counselor. I'm somebody that just has a street degree. I'm not a professional. My street degree and my credibility is I was raised very harshly as a child, and when I mean harshly, extremely in extreme conditions. So I know that kind of people. I know those kind of people. I did not become those kind of people. So that's a wonder and that's a miracle of God and of life. But as I was saying, you're putting your heart and your sensibilities and your perspectives, and you're putting it on as if they should see that way, but not everybody's the same. They're not going to see things and be you, be the you that you are, which I'm just going to guess is a really compassionate and very giving, and you probably want to be fair as much as you can within reason. Now, there's people that steal some extra napkins, take extra condiments somewhere, but, on the major morality alignment and things, they're going to be pointed more truthfully and more north on that, that's kind of who I think this kind of Tiny Buddha official meme is talking to. They're talking to someone that has compassion for others' pain, compassion for others' sense of justice, well-being. That's who I think that will respond to receiving this Tiny Buddha official meme. So that's kind of what stood out for me first. And as much as I really enjoy this meme, that we're at different levels and stages of our personal introspective growth development, and it's saying don't chase answers, don't expect people. I definitely understand the great wisdom in that, but I just think back at the times of when I wasn't as anchored, grounded, balanced. I did chase the impossible. I did chase those impossible answers. I did chase impossible closure, and it hurt to just never have resolution. But I wasn't this grounded. So if you can't follow this advice because you physically can't understand how to take this advice, I think it just takes a little bit more time and more walk of life. And my background is I've had a decade of counseling. I've read over a dozen self-help books. I've journaled probably. I should have journaled more, but I did my fair share of journaling, both digitally, say on a phone or a computer back in the early 2000s, and then in paper. I journaled quite a bit, so I had been in a struggle, and I'd used the tools and I'd searched for how to not be the way that people brought me up. Those, I call them earth guides, the people that God gave you to care for you as a child and show you how to best live a life. And it wasn't a great example. So I say that all to say, oh gosh, I forgot how to circle it around to the same thing. But so like right here, work on yourself and your inner peace. Okay, if I were to put that in the quotations and make it bold, I would say, just like I was saying to you, is if I were to give some advice, because if you're listening to this, then you're saying I'm willing to listen to how another's gotten to a point of peace, centeredness, balanced. I would say that I have it, but it doesn't always stay that way. But if maybe let's say I call it an emotional flare up, then I can come back to a point of peace and balance and centeredness. So work on yourself. I would say, well, how do you do that? The more that you boost you by coming to realize your value, the more you in turn in your own mind raise the value of yourself with boosting your self-love, self-compassion, self-care, self-kindness, you will gain inner peace. you will be able to come to a point of calmness, to not need to chase answers, but the less self-love and less consideration that you give yourself, and the more that you let people run you over by giving obligatory yeses to people when it's a really big inconvenience, or it will take from your ends. It could be financially, emotionally, it could be possessions. People might want your stuff. Circumstances are so broad, but working on yourself and your inner peace, I would say boosting your own value in your own mind and having a perception and changing your perception. That is when you start. It's like find your value first. That's my thought. Find your value first. So, because I'm I'm just observing this picture. The person who wrote this is Rania Naim. That's nice. I like that name. And if I were to observe some of some metaphorical things about this young lady, I think it's like I see this childlike innocence about her that it's got what I call, like stellar kind of art with the stars, outer space, maybe a nebula, which is a cluster of stars where stars are born. And a nebula is a nursery of stars. And you know what stars do? Our star gives us life. Being at a perfect distance away from the earth, and that heat from the sun gives us our water cycle. It causes the evaporation and then condensation or precipitation. The water goes up, the water comes down, and it repeats. So I would say it's life-giving, and it's just amazingly. I'm making that connection because of the things that my perspective and my life's walk kind of pulls from this picture of this girl. She's definitely young. I don't know if we're talking teens or a child, because it's not like a fashionable hairstyle. I don't know really styles of hair, but she's a lovely girl, and it's definitely owned by tinybuddha.com. So I'm gonna look at this over, because I don't know if you want to hear me talk forever and ever. Work on yourself. I would put in parentheses, work on finding your value. Blake Shelton has got a great podcast. You might Google how to increase your own value. You might Google, or whatever engine you use, other things like how to boost your own self-esteem. Because when you value yourself, then you start to say, I'm going to protect this. I'm going to protect this me. Because where do you put a set of diamonds? I had a conversation about diamonds. Are you going to just leave them out, in the, on your, like a little side table in your house where everybody flows and traffics and comes and goes? Or are you going to put it in a locked protect area, an area that nobody can get to? So when you raise your own value in your own mind, then you're going to start to put that portion of yourself away and put up boundaries to people and say, no, I need to build up my battery. I need to fill up my battery by, if I need a retreat to, after I've given all week, and I'm going to take this time to go to get your nails done. That's the only thing I can think of. Get a pedicure, or whatever you think is something that brings you to peace and calm, and it makes you feel like you're special. So, yeah, using the metaphor of diamonds, They're rare, they're hard to find, but you are that. You're rare. There is none other than you. You are a one of a kind. So can you imagine what kind of value that drives that amount up? And then of course I believe in a deity, so if he hands created you and made you your soul also, I mean, the very value of having this intensely unique soul, it just drives. I think you're more valuable in the outer space, or all the wonders of the, the laws of physics and the laws of and all the beautiful things that God has created. I mean, to create a soul, the Lord made the soul, and made your soul, and He made your thoughts, and He made you to be able to record memories. And now you have archived memories. So it's so miraculous to be you, and you are a miracle. I don't even know you, and I've believed that about you, about anybody that I meet, anybody that I don't meet, everybody that I've met, everybody that I haven't met, because simply by existing and to be able to hear and comprehend this, I'm just geeky, and I've watched a lot of science, and it's just the computational power of the brain, and to be able to orchestrate all of our, bodily systems. I just love it. So that's just a little bit touch and a take. Let me go over this a little bit more. I'm just gonna give a couple 10 seconds. You know what? This is what kind of stands out. So, okay. So I'm slowly learning that if I react, it won't change anything. What that tells me, that first line is that it's going to deplete my energy, my mental energy, and my mental and emotional energy is valuable. And so I'm going to protect that energy by saving it and reacting when needed in an emergency. But if people they're disappointed in me and they don't like me because of the way I look, let's just say, the way the Lord gave my body. I might be black. I might be a Mexican or Asian. I have an energy source, and I can't do anything to change that. I didn't choose this form. I didn't choose this height. I didn't choose this gender. It was the Lord that made me. And people, if they don't respect or love me because of a certain look or and caring about what they think, all that mental energy will not change anything. They're still going to think that. So as I go back to the part about work on yourself, quotations, drive your own value up to you, it's just saying I'm protective of my mental energy. I'm protective of my emotional energy, because you need all your energy for things that matter, things that are under your care, your children. Let's say you're taking care of elderly parents, or you're a grandparent, you're taking care of children. And you might be taking care of a spouse that's maybe not well, they're sick, or it's just like, don't give energy to those that don't deserve it. And you know who deserves it? You deserve it. You deserve your own energy. Please, think about that. Sometimes it's better to just let things be. Yeah, so when you are more anchored and you have in your own heart and feel like your value is high, you will be able to let things be, because you're at peace. You're more anchored. You're more balanced. Let people go. Don't fight for closure. I like that statement, but it just does a little bit aggravate me, because it's like I was telling you earlier, you can't help it. Sometimes your heart just has a struggle. And so if you're a praying person, ask the Lord for that, to quell that struggle in you, to give you that peace. Don't expect people to understand where you're coming from. because, you know, like I told my friend before, not everybody is a bunch of walking U's. You know, her name is, I'm going to change it, Kathy. And I said, Kathy, not everybody is, you're not looking at a bunch of Kathys. You're looking at a bunch of people that are different than you, and they don't have the same value towards people, don't have the same respect, nor do they want to give anybody each their due dignity as a human being. Not a lot of people respect or care. They don't have the heart that you do. So don't put it like they are coming from your point of understanding. They don't have you. They don't have that you compassion. They don't have a you kindness. So yeah, let's see. It's better lived when you don't center it on what's happening around you. Sometimes okay, I'm slowly learning that life is better lived when you don't center it on what's happening around you, and you center on what's happening inside you. So yeah, turning that energy that you put out there, to have a hurt heart over how someone rejects you or judges you. Maybe turn that energy, I think it's saying turn that energy in and give it to you, the person that does deserve it. Because I'm sure you've had a hard life and you have been mistreated. And so now it's time to turn around and say to, you're me, you being the me. Okay, maybe I'm over explaining, but you being you, calling yourself me, but not me, but you. Making a statement. Be bold, make statements. Make a statement that says, is that I'm going to turn that energy out there that that has angst and has anxiety over what someone else has a thought in their mind that they don't like something or they disagree about something. I'm going to stop angsting about that. I'm going to say, okay, I can let that be. Even if I don't believe it, I'm going to say it, because the more I say something, the more your subconscious will say, okay. Because you just have to say it a bunch for your subconscious to finally agree with you. Because the more you say other things like, they don't like me, oh, this hurts, they hurt me. Maybe some self-talk, and maybe that's another keyword thing to search, is self-talking of how to have a good inner dialogue or good self-talk or positive self-talk, or positive, they call them affirmations, but validating. You do have conversations with yourself. You do have a relationship with yourself. And if you are kind of the other person's spokesperson against your own self, like saying, yeah, they judged you, and yeah, but you know what? They're probably right. You probably are a screw up. You probably are as ugly as they say, or you probably are as worthless as you as. Okay, so we're gonna have to fire that person, that voice in there, and we're gonna have to identify it and know that that's happening, because these conversations are happening, but it comes in the form of a feeling, and the feeling of feeling low and of zero value, because someone else has put a label of, you got zero value, you are unlikable, because you are unwanted, because you have been rejected, because you are alone, because there's something wrong with you. Well, let's hit the rewind. If anybody has lived through the 80s, there's a cassette, and then you actually make a little sound, and you press it, and it makes a loud click, and it goes, we're going to rewrite that. We're not going to have that. We're not going to let them speak to us like that. And when I mean us, I mean you. I'm not going to let them speak to you in your own head and occupy a mental, audio, real estate in your heart and your mind to tell you something ugly about you. Nope. We ain't going to have that, because you got to get stubborn with it. And you got to say, rewind. I'm going to rewrite these words. Let's see, if I were to be able to rewrite let's just make up a scenario or something. Um, well, I had a server experience at some point, and it was I was jeered, meaning like made fun of. With they were a group of people that made fun of me as a server over me just trying to get clear what exactly that person wanted, from their order. There was a here to order and there was a to go order. And so there was like, okay, leave off this thing for the to go order and then leave off this thing for the here, or give me extra of the for here order. And then when I was trying to make it clear,